I think that what has happened in Ukraine, I think one important lesson is that Russia, in a conventional sense, and I say conventional for a very important reason, I'll explain in a second, is not that big of a threat. They were not able to rapidly take over at least the eastern part of Ukraine and accomplish their military objectives in a short timeline. Now they still have massive amounts of men and material and reserves. I mean, Russia is a country that still keeps World War II tanks in warehouses, and they keep old Soviet T-55 and T-62 tanks that are 50, 60 years old at this point. And so they have a tremendous reserve that they could throw in this fight. And in a war of attrition, while you can't say anything with certainty, you have to give the advantage to the Russians because of that. But it shows that in a conventional sense, they can't threaten Poland. They can't threaten Central Europe and Germany and France in a meaningful way. The threat they pose is on the nuclear front and on the non-conventional asymmetric front. And so I think that's important to keep in mind is a lot of folks are saying like, well, the Russians don't seem that scary. They're going to be back. Why can't NATO do more? And it's like, well, because there's still the nuclear card. And that's the biggest risk here, is that this could escalate into a nuclear conflict. And I think way too many people in Washington, D.C. are being too flippant and too dismissive of that. And again, I just would go back to who's going to pay the price for this, is that an expanded war, whether it goes nuclear or it gets more bloody in a conventional sense, the cost of that will be borne by the Ukrainian people primarily.
And by the way, so like a specific example of that is I think there's just a lot of confusion and ignorance about what a call for a no-fly zone actually means, and it's different than something we would have done in Iraq when it comes to shooting down Russian planes.
Yeah, we did it. We did have a no-fly zone in Iraq for 13 years. And you know what we were doing those 13 years? We were bombing the country. We weren't just flying jets over their airspace. We had to take out their air defense systems. And to properly impose a no-fly zone over Ukraine would require us bombing Russian air defense systems, not just in Ukraine, but also in Belarus and Russia, because they have very long-range S-400, S-300 systems that are stationed in Russia and Belarus that would pose a threat to American or NATO aircraft. And for us to effectively manage no-fly zone would require bombing them. So I think that you and your viewers will understand what that entails. It means bombing Russia.
Yeah.
It doesn't just mean flying an F-22 in a circle around Western Ukraine.